Hello, and we're glad to have everybody here for our Money Shots episode. I hope everybody brought their raincoat because it's going to be a bumpy ride. And I can see in the chat already, I can see Mermaid Clover, 3X Drones, Spider Hank, Frank, and everybody. And Courtney, glad to have you. Glad to have you. Ethan's in the house. I can see rum and coke therapy. I think I'm going to go Pepsi and Monster therapy here in a second. I'm glad to have everybody here, and I'm going to throw it around the room. First off, I'm going to throw it to Ron Brown.
Thank you very much, Bill. Hello, everybody. Glad to be on the show tonight. Looks like we got a good crowd in the chat room already, and I want to say hello to Ethan and John, and I think it's going to be a great show tonight. I'm doing well, so let me throw it over to John Cuppi.
Hey, Ron, good to see you. Ethan, Bill, always awesome. Hey, this should be a really good show. I forgot to bring a raincoat, I guess, so it's just going to have to do. Chat's filling up pretty quick here. Hey, everybody. I see Chris Ho. Yep, Spider Hank. Should be a great show. I'm just going to go ahead and pass this on to Ethan.
Hey, guys, welcome tonight. Happy to be here with you. Glad to have John with us and Ron and Bill. I do have some money shots lined up, so we'll go through the shots that I'd like to use. And I also picked up the Insta361R this week. So if anybody's got any questions about that, go ahead and just drop them in the chat. And with that, I'll throw it over to Bill.
Well, I'm glad to have everybody here. And I also got a new email from Scotty-O today. So I will update everyone on that as well. And as people were saying, Chris Hope's now in the chat. Manamana is here. Had to give it kind of a bump over. I know that Paul and him are doing something going on also right now. Frank. Oh, Jay Santiago in the house. Glad to have you. Brandon Rain, thank you for coming by and watching my snowy video of the Mavic Mini earlier. Yes, tonight we're going to be doing Ethan's money shots, and kind of what he's saying is everybody's kind of their cinematic big money shot and what he would do in those situations and everything, and so that's what he's going to do. So you all can give us your input on that. Also, he has the new camera that he can discuss and give you an idea of his early opinions on it, because we already know what they are. So we'll let him share those with you too. So, and without further ado, let's just get rolling into things, and I'm gonna. Is anybody new or crazy? Padawan, hello. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. I'm going to throw it back to Ethan. And what do you want to start with?
I guess we'll just start rolling the video. Quick intro. Let me get my screen share up here.
Yeah, I'll fade back until he gets the screen share up. And then it'll kind of take over the screen anyway, which is kind of cool. It gives me a chance to just run my mouth a little bit more.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so basically with money shots, these are the five. I actually have 6 on here, but these are the shots that I like to use for a lot of like paying jobs. Mostly I do these in weddings and whenever we do YouTube videos or we're trying to showcase a new drone or a new camera, these are the kind of shots I like to get. But anyway, just going right down the list, there's multiple ways you can do each one of these. But a big one, we'll start off with the easy ones that, you could do with any drone. It's a piece of cake. Reveals, we have a push and pulls, orbits, which are also called point of interest shots. You can do tracking shots. You could also do look down spins and then proximities. So jumping right into it, we'll just take a look at some of these and we're going to go right down the list with reveals. So with a reveal, one of the easiest things that you could do is just sit straight, high up in the sky, looking straight down and just pan the gimbal straight up, nice and slow. That's a really great opening shot. It's basically like if you want to showcase the area that you're at, it's a really great way to do it because it starts off kind of like, like coned in. So you're looking at just the ground. And then as you slowly come up, you can see the horizon and basically see the background. Real easy shot to do. Is very dramatic, especially if you put it with music and if you have a really, really nice background. You could also do the opposite with that kind of reveal, is like looking straight up and then pan down. Basically the exact thing in reverse. Next, we have pushes, which is a another very simple shot. Basically, you're just going forward real slow. You're not doing any gimbal movement, no panning, just moving straight forward. And as easy as these shots sound, and you're kind of like, if you're just starting out flying drones or doing this kind of work, you may not think that it's like, that impressive, but in the film world, these kind of shots are very dramatic. They, especially if they're done really smooth, and especially if the area that you're at is interesting. Here's a variation of a push. You're actually moving at an angle by keeping the camera forward, but like moving at an angle. If you watch some bigger YouTubers channels, you actually notice that quite a few guys use this one quite a lot. I'll run that again. But basically, you're just going to fly straight and then move at a bit of an angle, keeping your camera straight. You can also like move up, raise up in altitude when you're doing this. That gives it another like effect. So has anybody got any questions yet?
Looks like everybody's doing pretty good right now. Everybody's really impressed. But so just keep on going. I think somebody will pop up here soon. I thought we'd just go full screen this way, and then we could all interact.
So another way you could do these pushes, and I think I got a pull. This is one of the look down push. So basically, it's the same kind of idea. You're just moving forward at a real low, slow speed. No panning, no side movements, just moving forward. But we have the gimbal pitched down. And this is a really nice effect, especially if you're going along a straight object, like a road or a river. If you go straight along, it looks really nice.
I said, Ethan, is there a recommended altitude for these?
So this one that we're looking at right here, I'm probably at 150. With the Mavic 2 Pro, and this is on HQ mode, so it's actually zoomed in quite a bit. So if you had like a Paradinafi, or we'll say like the Xeno, probably at 100 feet with a shot like this, because the problem is if you get too high, say if you get above like 150 and up, you get up to 200 feet up in the air, and you're looking down at the ground, you're so far away, you're losing a lot of the detail. So it's kind of hard to make out the details in the things.
Yeah, that's some beautiful fall color there, by the way. You can really see all of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This one came out.
I love that shot.
That's another thing with fall. You have about a good 2 weeks. When it starts to change in your area, you got 2 weeks.
Yep.
Till it's gone. And now this is a pull at a wedding that we were doing. So basically we started in really close on the awning there, and the guests are starting to fill in. And basically we're just going to pull back, and I'm actually going to rise up in height. Real simple shot, doesn't take a whole lot of skill to do these. But, as you get into this kind of stuff, the simple shots are sometimes the most powerful, and the editors that we do these for just absolutely love them. I think that's probably the hardest thing that I had to deal with, and that's just a speed ramp and edit. But here's another push shot. So we're actually combining a push and a reveal with this one. So basically the gimbal's pitched down, and as I just go forward, I'm going to slowly bring the gimbal up. Now we're starting to get into more complex moves here, because anytime you start adding multiple movements, it's going to get more challenging. But this is relatively easy one to pull off. Same thing, wherever the water, looking at the geese, and we're just moving forward real slow and gently pitching the gimbal up.
I have a random question. Have you ever had a scare with geese?
No, not really. I've never had a scare with any bird, actually. I've had a lot of like barn sparrows, like, buzz it, but never had a problem. I never had one physically start to attack it. So.
And Art has just joined us, and Al Diaz gave the comment, close proximity pull, in my opinion, is a great shot. And now, hence, push, pull, and proximity. Now we know why we have raincoats for the show.
Right. So now we're getting to the more challenging shot. And we do have proximity shots at the very end, because the proximity shots are awesome, but they're very high risk. So But anyway, so now one of my favorite shots to do is orbits or point of interest shots. I love these and I think they look great. You can actually do a lot with these shots. We'll take a look at this one. This one's just a real wide, simple orbit, probably like, I would say 800 feet away from this water tower, or I'm probably up at around 150 feet. We're just slowly orbiting around it. Great shot, gives a lot of perspective. Real easy to do, especially if you have a drone that has a flight feature where it can actually lock onto something or maintain that, it makes it doing an orbit piece of cake. The Apparent Anafi's got it's a waypoint point of interest mode. The waypoint point of interest mode on the Apparent Anafi, basically you pick a point on the GPS map and you set that as your center point, and then you can move the drone anywhere you want. It'll keep it faced at that, so it makes doing orbits a breeze. This is probably one of the most difficult shots to do because this is like a dynamic orbit. So what we're going to orbit around the water tower, but we're also going to start at the bottom and then we're going to come up above it. So you're orbiting and you're pitching the gimbal at the same time.
You better be lurking, Frank.
This is probably one of the more challenging shots you're going to get into. But
wow, Courtney's greeting art.
If you have something like a Apparent Anafi, it makes it a piece of cake. This is another dynamic orbit shot where we're not actually moving up, but we're going to be moving away as we go around.
That's cool. I feel like I'm watching like a golf tournament or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and he's getting ready to stroke a par four.
Yeah. Everybody quiet. Everybody quiet.
Yeah.
So it's like these shots, especially with no music or whatnot, they don't seem like a lot. But when I hand the footage over to the editors, they call me and they say, this is just awesome.
Because there's so much that you can do with this.
Oh, yeah. That's the beauty of doing weddings is that, especially if you're just shooting the drone stuff, you don't have to edit it. You just basically hand the SD cards over to the editors and that's it. You're done. So it's a really, really easy way to make money, especially if you get in with the right people, especially if you're familiar with the venue and you fly there a lot. Definitely really easy. I don't know about real estate. I think real estate would be a lot of hustle. What was this one? Oh, so this is like so most of your orbit shots are going horizontal from like left to right, right to left, so on. This is going to be a orbit shot, but vertically. So if you start up and then we come down, you're going to pivot the gimbal up at the same time. So it's almost like a vertical orbit.
Is wind adjustment a huge factor?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's why if your drone has an automated flight feature, get really comfortable using it because that'll help you out a lot.
That was funny, man. I gotta throw that up again. I thought it was just me. I thought it was funny.
Geese are good with gravy.
I don't know. I haven't eaten too many geese.
Yeah, geese are good.
I had a turducken. I guess that's kind of close, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. That's a great shot.
Yeah, what I liked about this tower is like you could see the horizon through the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go back to that.
You could see right through.
Yeah, you can see it.
It's freaking awesome.
See it going back in the background. So again, this was all with the Apparent Anafi in a waypoint point of interest mode. And basically with that drone, that's probably one of my favorite features about that drone because it makes getting shots like this a piece of cake. I really wish the Mavic 2 had it.
Al's asking in the chat what drone you're using, and this is the Apparent Anafi, right, Ethan?
Yeah, this shot that you're seeing right here is the Apparent Anafi. Let me go back one. This was this is the Mavic 2.
Okay.
But I'm still using a locked waypoint. I think it's called orbit mode or waypoint something. Whatever the point of interest mode for the Mavic 2, I'm using that on this too. And so what it does, it will lock that point and keep the gimbal pitch to that point that you want. So you can fly the drone while it keeps the camera locked at that spot.
Nice.
Yep. You can do these manual, but it's very challenging.
I can imagine.
Very challenging. Yeah, that's the Mavic 2. And then this is the Paradenofi. Yeah, that's using its point of interest or tap fly point of interest mode. That's what it is.
And that's
Very cool.
That actually has that mode, I believe, that I know of.
Yeah, it's the only drone that works like this. There is a feature in Litchi that does the same thing. So it'll work with a Spark, original Mavic, Mavic Air, Mavic 2. It'll work with all those, but it's not as smooth as what the Anafi does.
Right.
So the next shots that I have coming up, and I don't use these too often for like weddings or anything like that, but tracking shots, when they're done right, look awesome. Now this is the Paradenofi, and basically we've locked onto this boat, and then we're going to fly alongside it.
Can you pause it just for a split second here? Chris Hope was just telling me that Rick Halber had a heart attack last night.
Oh,
He's
sorry.
Oh my
in the
God.
hospital right now, and so we really want everybody to let him know that we're thinking about him. Because the minute I found out about it, that's why we're stopping the show, putting the brakes on. Because Rick Halber supports everybody with like most open arms of anybody on the planet.
Yeah.
So, wow.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and I'm leaving for Virginia in the morning. So I'm going to be on the East Coast at, so tomorrow night, probably around midnight, I'm going to be hitting the East Coast. That'll be East Coast time at midnight. I'll be hitting there. Going to go visit my 93-year-old grandmother. But anyway, yes, we will talk more about Rick. And
if anybody works like email address stuff that maybe they could post in chat, and maybe we can send.
I'm sure somebody is going to, because Rick gives to everybody. So I'm sure somebody's going to put something together to honor Rick and maybe to do something for Rick. So
if you has a link to his channel, I would appreciate that, because trying to search for it on YouTube itself, I'm not getting anything.
Pretty much everybody that's in here has got a hammer, so just throw it in there.
Yeah, I know he is a post like all the time, so I haven't.
Yeah, well, but he's always there for everyone, man. I mean, he supports everyone. You know, I mean,
he does.
And to hear that the brakes got slammed on, you know, and
there we go. I found him.
Oh, that's just.
There we go. There's his channel link in case somebody can't find it like me, so we can all send him well wishes.
Yeah, definitely send him well wishes. Hopefully they get him squared away.
All right, so we'll get back to the show. We'll talk more about Rick and some other things here in a little bit. Go.
Oh, okay. Back on to tracking shots. Tracking shots look really cool. I mean, I wouldn't use a tracking shot for like a wedding. Maybe if you're tracking the bride or something like that. But for the most part, these are done with vehicles if you're on a bike or that kind of thing. But tracking shots are one of my favorites. And I love tracking boats. That's definitely my favorite thing to do. Anybody that's got the Skydio 2 now, you know, tracking shots is definitely your thing now. So, but yeah, they look great, especially if you can go right alongside. This was actually in Costa Rica, so we had a good time with that. Here's a shot that you don't see too often, but I actually like throwing it in every now and again. It's a straight up look down shot and then slowly rotate around. Another real easy shot to do. It gives a different perspective of things. This is one that you don't want to go too fast with, you know, or else everybody gets a little dizzy. But this is a variation of that. Once you get good at, you know, feeling comfortable with that, you can do as you're looking down in a spin, you actually can do a pull away too, and almost like a corkscrew. And this is a really cool looking shot. And we're going to start slowly like pulling away and then coming down.
Oh yeah, look at that. It's almost like the buildings are popping, basically.
Like almost like a 3D type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, Ron. You perfect way to describe it. Very cool. And the way that what a great time to do it too. You've got that sun, the angle that it is.
Right. So finally, we're going to get into proximity shots. Now, proximity shots are definitely high risk. You want to have a drone that you're very comfortable with, that you're really comfortable getting close to objects, because you're probably, to do these, you really need to have the obstacle avoidance turned off. And, you know, some people aren't very comfortable with that. And you really have to I like to get really close to where I'm flying at so I can visually see how close I am to the object.
Unless it's Scotty, they don't have to turn anything off.
Right. Right. Then you're not allowed to turn anything off, right?
That is the people that they've shipped it to.
Right.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. That was too funny.
That is a nice shot, Ethan.
Now, this is definitely one of my favorites. I probably do this at every single wedding. We do a slight, almost use your drone as you would like a cameraman holding a camera and a gimbal, because your drone is very steady, and like the newer drones have really, really nice cameras. And the closer that you get to things with proximity shots, you can really see that detail that you don't really get from the air. So what I like to do, I like to like come in low, fly over like chairs and stuff, just like you would be if you had like a camera and a gimbal, but then fly over water that you couldn't do with a camera and a gimbal. I've also got another shot, not in here, but there's another shot where I actually fly with the Nafi. I was like flying through the chairs, and that was a really cool shot.
Very cool.
So talk about proximity shots. Here's that same water tower we were flying around. And now we're up close and personal to it. And you can just see all the detail that's in the structure now. And also here's another proximity shot with this lighthouse. We got really, really close to the top part. Just a perspective that you wouldn't see unless you're physically on top of it there. So, and that kind of concludes what I got. And proximity shots look great. They, especially when you pull them off well, especially when you put them in with like an orbit or a push, you know, you can really, they look really, really nice. So, but those are like the shots that I use on a consistent basis. Those are the shots that everybody seems to like. And to be honest with you, the ones that we did at the beginning, like the reveals, the pushes, and the pulls, that is like what all the editors just, they love those shots. So it's almost like you can't do enough of those. So sometimes the dynamic shots, sometimes they don't really use that much, or they might use just a little snippet of it. But I feel like looking at the videos that people have made of my stuff, it's like they use the push and the reveals and the pushes and the pulls like exclusively, like all the time. So, and another thing when you're doing shots for edits, just to throw this in there, try to keep your shots at least 4 seconds or longer. I like to try to at least do a 10-second long shot. Most of the time when you're editing, especially if you're editing the music, you're probably going to do a cut around 4 to 5 seconds. Oh. So try to keep that in mind when you're shooting. Also, if you're shooting for like client work, that kind of stuff, make your shots like hit the record button, do your shot, and then stop it. Editors, when you give the SD card to an editor, they cannot stand like having one file and they got to dig through all the, you know, stuff of you flying around to the shots, or you like powering the drone up, or if you like turning the exposure to get everything set up for the shot. They don't want to see all that stuff. So just try to get into the habit of like hitting the record button when you want to get something and then clicking it again when you take it off. So that has also helped me with editing. When I'm sorting through footage, it really helps speed things up. So it, gets rid of all the nonsense that, all the junk that you have in there. So.
I mean, that's good advice, Ethan, and I've I really think it is. But for me, I've tried both ways. I'll try just the way you said, to only record when I'm getting the shots. But then sometimes I forget to actually start the record button. I don't get the shot. So then other times I go with it. Well, I'll just shoot everything. Then I won't forget the stop and start the record button. So I kind of live on both sides of that fence there, depending on the situation.
When I first started flying a Spark, I used to forget to hit the record button all the time. But now that I've been doing this kind of stuff for so long, it's like habit now to just click it, because it's almost like taking a picture. You're not holding the shutter button continuously, just taking pictures of everything. You're intentionally getting something on purpose. So
right,
it's like it, and it's a habit that I've developed. So it's no big deal now.
Right.
But also, if you're doing like say you're doing any kind of paid work, that you definitely want to do that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Great presentation, Ethan. I mean, that was amazing shots and amazing advice. For getting better shots for your video, making it, your videos make it, you'll retain people better because you're doing stuff to keep their eyes and attention busy, during the video rather than just static flying along. And these are great tips.
Well, I was just going to say, if you've ever heard Ethan talk to us before, he explains to us that a lot of the people that he works with tell him what kind of shots they want. So he's like, yeah, okay, I'll see if I can do that. Yeah. And then he'll figure it out before he's got to do it, And then so by the time he does it, he's already, have you like done it once or twice before you pull the shot off, or you just go at it raw and pull it off?
There's sometimes that I'll take 6 or 7 times to get it right.
Okay.
Yeah, like there was one shot at that wedding where I was above the willow trees, and I wanted to come down and pivot right at the same time and look through the altar and everybody was sitting like right at the same time. It took me 6 tries to get that. So, but that's what you're going to have to do to get those kind of shots. They don't just happen. takes a lot of practice. I mean, you got to try it 3 or 4 times.
So does anybody else have any of their, that's why I threw that banner up there, what your best shot is? Is it comparative to what Ethan has showed us? Do you have something new and interesting of your own? What would you say?
One of my favorite shots to do that I've been actually doing a lot lately is doing an orbit. And then have a structure like that you're fixed on, dropping the shutter speed to so you're at the 360 degree roll. Instead of like double your frame rate, you make your shutter speed the same as your frame rate. So if you're shooting at 24, you want to make your shutter speed 24. And what that does, that's going to add a lot of motion blur to the footage. So if you keep your orbit perfect so that one thing that you're fixed on stays right in the middle, it's not going to move. So it's not going to be blurry, but the background gets all blurred out. It's almost like using a shallow depth of field lens on a camera.
Interesting.
Okay, are we pulling back and pulling up, or are we pulling up and pulling back, or are we just pulling up? I'm asking Chris. See, because he's got me. He's confused me. He's like, okay, I see. And then the next one he's like, pull. Okay, so you're just going straight up? Is that what you're saying? Is that what we mean? You're going straight up, like an asteroid or something? Or hello?
Pull
up and out. Yeah, I think we all like that one. Up and out.
We still talking about drone shots?
No, money shots. Yeah, we're definitely talking about money shots for sure. I'm pretty sure they've even called for that one. Up and out. Up and out.
Right.
Yep. So yep.
I'm waiting to get on a wedding that's big enough to have 2 drones flying with a producer telling us, you fly over here, you do this shot. I'm waiting for that to happen someday.
Well, I think that we're going to end up having teeny, tiny little drones that have unbelievable sensors in them that will be like miniaturized, but will have like 40 megapixel capabilities somehow. I don't know if it'll be exactly an our lifetimes, but something reasonably close to that, like a 5 or a 10 megapixel teeny tiny drone.
I tell you what, like doing a bunch of these weddings now, if I could mash the Paradenofi with the Mavic 2's camera, that would be the perfect drone, because the Anafi is so quiet. Like nobody even knows it's around. So we're getting these shots of like when the bride's walking out, getting the shots when they're doing it. We're getting shots inside the venue sometimes, but I think because it's so quiet.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you what to do. Take the Mavic 2 and you take the Paradenofi and you put them in a quiet room with a bottle of rum and close the door.
Because, that's the one thing, the bride and the wedding party, when they come and, when they say they want the drone, that is the one thing that they say, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Every single time they say that every single time, I don't want to hear it.
Well, I'm going to tell you straight up. I was stunned how quiet the Mavic Mini is.
Right.
I mean, it does not make. It's like super quiet. I was and to be honest, I've heard how people will talk about it in the wind, but it seems to me that I think people maybe haven't played with toy drones and stuff before. That because a toy drone, a little bit of wind will hit a toy drone and it'll get away from you. So you got to understand how to hang with it in order to get it back. And all you pretty much got to do with the Mavic Mini is trust it, because the GPS will pull it back. But I get the feeling that people are probably getting really scared and they'll run with it and be like, oh, no, man. Oh, and by then it's too late.
Yeah, well, remember, Bill, the people that don't think the Mavic Mini are good in the wind are the people that are basically compared to Mavic 2 Pros and these real high-end cameras. In its class, the Mini's good in the wind. It's just not as good as Mavic 2 series or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you're going to put it up 400 feet in the air, you better be willing to deal with it. I mean, I don't ever intend probably to put my Mini up maybe 150, 200 feet at the most. So, but where I'm going home to Virginia, I get to go off of some really, really cool mountains and stuff that are wide open because there's no airports or anything. I just have to watch out for people shooting it down going, get away from my pop field.
Mm-hmm. John, you get a kick out of this. The last wedding I was at, the bride or the groom and the groom's party asked me if I had a FPV drone to get the footage with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I said to him, I do have one. I said, but I didn't bring it because I didn't think it'd be good for this kind of atmosphere.
No, it probably would not. I mean,
I told him I don't know quiet props for that thing yet. So.
Hey, John, even sitting in like the last pew or whatever, like, fly this FPV drone like through the crowd or whatever.
Right.
These on sitting in the back.
Oh my God. That talk about liability right there. Shoo.
Yeah, no kidding. It'd be too risky. I mean, at best, you could try like a very small Cinewhoop, and even then, what kind of footage are you going to get? It's just really probably not worth it.
And most of the time, the editors are.
From Art. I just realized I stole because when I realized that Marcus was in the chat, I pulled one of these, and that's Art's. Art, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry because that's Art's. That's Art's. I'm sorry, but it was cool because the minute I did it, I was like, oh man, I just
a quick little announcement. Marcus recently reached a milestone on his channel. I believe he. Yep.
1 million views.
Congratulations to you, bud.
Congratulations.
It's very, very, very nice. Very nice. Glad to hear it, my friend. And it's kind of a unique snub in other people's faces that try to disrespect you. Right now, we should all be getting along because in another 2 or 3 years, if we keep this up, we're just going to be like, boy, I wish I could fly my drone. I had a crappy day. I should have sent in the comment. I should have been nice to my fellow pilots so that we still had the skies. We don't have time to bicker with each other. We don't have time to have petty little arguments about who gets more views and who gets more subscribers and who's trying to be judgmental of everybody else. We all love to fly drones, and that's it. We know that. So let's keep the skies for all of us, people. And Ethan, didn't you were talking about FPV drones a minute ago. Don't you have something new that you could probably put on an FPV drone that you were talking about earlier?
I do. And here is the Insta360 1R. It is Insta360's basically modular camera. So it's got the 360 camera on it. And you can take it apart. There's the battery. These two come apart. And then you can snap on the 4K mod, and it basically becomes a GoPro.
And that was magnetic?
No, they're like they push together. Just like they got these rubber grommets that hold them together. And in its state like this, it is waterproof. Up to, I think they said 30 feet, something like that. So this is like, it acts like a GoPro. It's got a little tiny screen on the back. And what the cool thing is with it is that if you want a front facing screen, you just flip it around, put the battery back on, and now you have a front facing screen.
Oh, wow, that is really versatile.
Yeah, it's a touch screen too. So
very cool.
So it's still, the software still needs work. And what the big thing that is different, and I'm still on the fence if I like it or not. But the big thing with this is that you can't pull the SD card out, pull the file off right into your editor and start editing. You either have to use their app to do your edits, which their app is really, really nice. It's got a ton of features in it. It's even got a ton of tutorials on how to get crazy shots where their AI in the app will stitch everything together, compile everything together, and just make a video for you, which is really interesting. Especially if you want to like get something up quick for Instagram or YouTube, just a quick travel video. You can get 6 shots of your day, pick those 6 shots in the AI in the app, and then it'll like pick out all the best parts of it and automatically make a video for you. That part's really cool. But if you're like me and like to edit with like Final Cut Pro, you have to put the footage into their studio, which is a free download software from their website, upload it into their studio, and then basically convert it to a file format that your computer can read, which takes like 5 minutes. So don't really care for that kind of workflow, but if you're a Final Cut Pro user, that's what you got to do. They do have a plugin for Adobe Premiere where you can upload it right to Adobe Premiere with no problem. So those guys that are using Adobe, it works really nice. If you're anybody else, you got to do the little workaround. So.
Wow, that's really disappointing to hear, Ethan. Wow, that would actually stop me from wanting to deal with it at all, to tell you the truth, because even though there's a plugin, as you say, for Adobe Premiere Pro,
right?
There's always the chance that plugin in the future is not going to work, and if they don't choose to update it or fix it, then you're kind of left with a kind of a pain in the ass process to use it. I wonder what the reason is that they have to use this proprietary file format for that camera.
So this is what I think, using this for the past week, what I've noticed. The stabilization on this thing is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is how they do it, because you have to calibrate the gyro that's in here. So what it's doing, it's basically their software is basically working just like real steady go. So it's taking the gyro data and using your other device for the processing power to smooth all the clips out off the gyro data. So in that aspect of it, they could potentially get really, really good if they update their software, because all this thing has to do is record. It doesn't have to process. It doesn't have to do any of that extra work that like the GoPro is doing or the Osmo Action is doing in camera. So there's certain ways to look at it. They have the potential, if they keep on developing their software, this has the potential to get really good. But you're still stuck with that kind of workflow. So
yeah,
I have the previous Insta360 X camera, and I love the hardware. But even in that one, like, I never really could get the proper workflow for what I like to do, with the software. So I really tend not to use it that much. Even if I use the camera, I'll get home and I'll have all these great ideas about a project I want to make, and I get bogged down in the editing process, and I just give up.
I tell you what, this kind of reminds me of a long time ago when the first GoPros came out, and you had GoPro Studio, and if you wanted that super view effect, you had to use GoPro Studio and then apply the 4:3 to wide,
Right.
and then you'd export your video like that, and then you'd have super view. Then in the future, GoPro was able to get rid of that because they were able to build that software process right into the camera.
Right.
Do you definitely think that we're going to see something like that in the future for another, version of this camera?
I don't. I think their app that they have, the mobile app for your device, is better than the computer software.
Agreed. If anything, I like using the mobile app better.
The only problem is that I don't have an iPad, so this screen is really small to do that kind of stuff on. Plus, it's an older phone, so for me to export something, it takes forever because the file sizes on the 360 part are pretty big. You know what? I was really hoping that for the 360 part, sure, use their app to do all the stitching, whatever. But I was really hoping for the 4K part where you're shooting it like a GoPro. I was really hoping it would be files just like a GoPro, but it's not. You have to run those through their app too. So it's a real bummer. And just up until today, like all this week, I've been shooting with it. It's advertised at shooting at 100 megabits per second, but every footage I was getting off it was like 75. If I was shooting in HDR, it was 50. So we're talking GoPro Hero 4 quality. And so I was kind of like, I was emailing them, see what's going on. And then finally today they put out a firmware update and now it's shooting at 100 and 105 megabits. So.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't, that's it. Wow. That's crazy. So it wasn't even right.
Oh yeah. And it's still very glitchy. The touch screen is very glitchy right now. So hopefully they'll fix that. But it's their software is definitely not quite ready yet. So.
Now, Ethan, I want to make a comment. Marcus, it's actually his comment, not mine. He's concerned about how small that little screen is on there. One of the reasons he got rid of his Osmo Pocket is he couldn't deal with the tiny little screen or whatever. How do you find using the small screen of that Insta360R?
For framing and using it to like frame yourself, that's no problem.
What about changing settings and things like that with the small screen?
It's actually really similar to the Osmo Action, where you just like swipe it and it goes to the next setting, almost like it rolls like a dial. So I found it pretty easy to use.
Okay, it's good to hear.
Let me see if I can get it to show up.
You see this, Ron?
What is that, Bill?
That's for the Pocket and a phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's your rate?
If I can get it to do it.
It's the what is it? The PGY Tech from DJI.
So you just like scroll, and then you just tap it.
Oh, very cool. Sorry, it wasn't trying to steal your thunder. Just was because he was talking.
And back to the Pocket. This is one of the whole things about the Pocket is to get the Pocket to really work right. You need all these rigs and your phone all hooked up at that point, but.
Well, see, the thing about it is, what I like about it, I just need to I want to get the external mic.
Speaking of mics.
There you go. That's a good, yep.
And see, I can just do this. Oh, what was you going to show, Ethan? Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of mics, this will take a regular USB-C mic, and it will also hook up to a Bluetooth mic.
So the biggest complaints about the GoPro 7, 8, and the Osmo Action is solved here. You don't have to buy an external module to plug in your microphones, and those modules usually aren't even available at launch. That's a really good feature for the Insta360
Yep. And it also comes with this cage. Oh, that's not right.
And you can also use it with Bluetooth headphones, like the Apple AirPods.
Right. Yeah, you can.
I'm saying, Marcus.
Yeah, it comes with the cage, so it'll hook up to all the GoPro stuff, and it's pretty solid. Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I don't like about this right now is the workflow. That's probably the one thing I'm still feeling it out, still feeling out how it goes, you know. So
that and the fact that it only gets the 60 megabits per second.
Well, they fixed that. I just checked it today.
Oh, okay. So you got a new firmware update?
Yeah, actually a firmware. So this morning, because they had an app update last night, and I did that. And then this morning when I was using it, it was freezing. It was locking up. I was like, what in the hell is going on here? Okay. So I got on the website. I saw that they had a firmware, but it was freezing up so bad I couldn't even connect to it with my phone. Oh, wow. So I had to download the firmware and put it on the SD card, then stick it in and do it that way. And I calibrated, because it said to calibrate the gyroscope in it. And I calibrated the gyroscope. Now it's working fine. And I just did a test video tonight, like in the house, uploaded it, and it is at 100 megabits. So
that's good. And for anybody in the chat that doesn't really we never made this point that this camera, for about $100 more than buying like the Hero 8, you can get this, and you have the Hero 8 basically, and a 360 camera for not a whole lot more than just buying a Hero 8. Is that pretty much correct, Ethan?
Yeah. I actually, so I didn't put a video out about this, but I actually tested the GoPro Hero 8 for about 3 weeks, and compared to my Hero 7, it just wasn't worth the upgrade. It was marginally better. The video quality was better, but it wasn't a whole lot better. It was just because the GoPro Hero 8 in 4K shoots at 75, 80-ish megabits per second. And that was like right at 100, the 8. And image quality wise, I didn't feel it was that much better. And the stabilization, the stabilization is better, but for the kind of stuff I do, the Hero 8 works great. So I don't really need any more stabilization. I mean, it already seems like it's on a gimbal already.
Right.
So, and with that more stabilization that you get on the Hero 8, it crops in that much more. So, which is interesting, like the Insta360, this thing, if you want more stabilization, it also crops in more. So, but it's all done in post. All that stuff is done in post. You don't set your stabilization, all that stuff before you start filming. You basically just film, and then it does all that stuff afterwards. So, that could be a plus or minus, if, it's different. That's the one thing I'm getting used to. It's different.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well, something I wanted to do, we'll call it the quick tip for the week, because Ethan pointed out to me how simple it would have been to fix this issue. But I wanted to, hey, Mikey! It's Mikey from Philly Drone Life! Can you see it's Mikey from Philly Drone Life in the house? Oh, sorry.
Don't have a stroke.
I had a weak moment there. Well, no, I just, if you've ever watched any of Mikey's streams and stuff, you kind of get the general idea of why I did that. But yeah, so this is a quick tip. So if you forget to turn off or stop the record button, don't run inside and rip out your SD card, because you may end up having some really spectacular footage that you wish that you hadn't have ruined. But instead, it's still pretty good, and I wanted to share this with you guys. So, see, this was the cache off the phone, and I happened to be watching Rick Smith's video and realized, I have something to say on the phone, please, yes. And I found this was still on the phone. And then Dennis Lovelady kept watching it, telling me the very same thing. And I was like, well, it's a little too late, but I've already crashed the file and everything, but at least I had this much. So that's cool. So yeah, we had some, see how the trees are leaning over? The trees snapping, power lines snapping, and I've got these 3 huge trees behind my house that I was really worried were gonna, as you see, I kind of pan over here, and I always look on them. This video was probably about 12 or 15 minutes long, because I was getting over there close to see if limbs looked like they were going to break and stuff. because that's like literally 25 feet away from my house. So those are huge trees too.
I'll be right back.
Beautiful vid. Even from the cache, it's a beautiful vid.
Yeah, and you can see the stinging back here from the plants and stuff right here. I think that's the fish factory I used to work at.
That's the mini, Bill?
Yeah, that's the mini.
That's the cache from the mini, right?
Yeah, the cash for dead dog. Yeah, I know. But since I did this, I wanted to also tell you, please don't forget, just go ahead and check out how to make sure if you don't hit stop, that you just leave it in the drone, you start up your drone again, and you simply hit record and stop, and everything will throw back into place. Yeah. See now Marcus is telling me, yes, but Bill, like a dumbass, took it out, took the file off of the card, realized that the file wasn't working, got all frustrated and
Yeah, it's gone now, man.
but this at least still exists. You obviously it was just a phenomenal snowfall. It was just unreal because we get these every once in a while. Like we might get 2 snowfalls a winter, and it's not often that we get one like this.
That's a winter wonderland, Bill.
Yeah.
It does.
You have the perfect trees for this kind of cinematography.
Anyway, glad to be sharing that with you all. And I'm going to stop this and bring it back in here. But see, that's kind of me to segue into what I was going to say. Tomorrow morning, I'm driving to SeaTac to get on a plane to fly back to Virginia to see my 93-year-old granny, who I haven't seen in 10 years, and pretty much everybody else in Virginia I haven't seen in 10 years. I'm going to be on the East Coast for like a week. So, maybe I'll do some Facebook live streams. Something else is I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there is if you all know of anybody that's interested in being on the show or being a future guest, because I really would like to get over 1,000 subscribers before April because I'm going to go to Disneyland and I was wanting to share it with you all. I'm going to go to Disneyland and Universal Studios and maybe go down to Grauman's Chinese. And if I don't have 1,000 subscribers, I can't do it mobile. And I'm not real bright. And I don't know if I'm going to have like big computer power and stuff like that to be able to share it with everybody. So maybe you could get me up to 1,000. I know it's kind of a cheap,
Bill.
but maybe we can get there and then I can be able to stream. So we can get up to like 1,050 or something like that. But yeah, shout out to Marion, Virginia, my hometown. I'm going to be back there for the first time in forever and see a few people back there and check out a few businesses and stuff and people I hadn't run into in a long time. So I'm grateful for that. I'm going to take the Mavic Mini. I've drained the batteries and stuff to do all that and everything. And that's pretty cool. So, oh yeah. I got another letter from email from Skydio today.
Uh-oh.
So I was just kind of joking around. They've been really vague with me. In the emails, we're going to get them done by the end of January, get them shipped out.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, does that mean that you're going to ship them to the distributor and then they're going to send us the complete order email? Or does the complete order email come from you all once you've shipped it to the distributor? And I get back this email that says, wait a minute, hang on. Let's see if I'll figure out. I'll find a way to share it with you guys because I was showing them earlier, and I even put it in Coast to Coast Drones. So let me see. I have to do it in Chrome. That's one thing that's kind of wild about StreamYard is it needs you to. It won't let you just open stuff like with pictures or, which I find kind of awkward. Isn't it kind of weird? My little sister keeps sending me messages. And like, when are you coming home? And I'm like, I'm in the middle of a stream. Stop. Okay, so y'all can hopefully see that in just a second. I'm going to have to zoom it up here.
Zoom it in for these old eyes.
Where's my, come here. Where are you? Why are you not letting me zoom? Oh, it's being a pain. Why are you being a pain?
A little difficulty.
If we look up close, we can see it.
Yeah, let me
Let me zoom. Normally it would. Anyway, so you can see the letterhead Skydio. It says, "Hi, Bill. It's hard to say what the exact timeline is, but we're increasing output week over week and are on target to get through all of batch 1, your order included, by the end of the month. We're further behind in production than we would like, and it's just going to take us some time to work our way through all the orders. We've doubled our production team and are now running multiple shifts. Again, we do realize this means a slightly longer wait for some folks, and we regret that. We appreciate the confidence you put in us by placing your reservation, and we're working hard to deliver. Thanks again for your patience. It shouldn't be much longer now. Best, Dana."
Thank you, Dana. I'm Bill.
Oh, God,
I'm
man.
gonna wait when your Sky's going to show up. When you get yourself settled in Virginia, that's when the Sky is going to come to your doorstep.
But I mean, that's so hilarious. I was like, because here's what it was. Here's what started the whole chain. I was kind of pissed off a couple of weeks ago, and I was going to do one of these, I'm going to cancel everything, and I'm going to throw it back at you, and, we were going to do a live on the show. And it was going to be, I think it was Jay who was going to do it. Jay was going to come on. And then Jay gets his email that says he's going to get his drone. And not only did he get his email, Jay got his, I think, Jay, if you're still here, Jay Santiago got his like yesterday or day before yesterday. Didn't you message me? Anyway, I think he got his Skydio a couple days ago. And he's like 2,000 ahead of me. So if we're taking that literally, that those order numbers are single units, they've sold like 10,000 per batch.
Oh,
I mean, really and truthfully, because I'm 2,000 past him. So me and Eric Marvel, E-Drone, are right in that same little area. And I started out and I was mad. I was really mad. I was like, I want to send back the accessories I got, man, because I thought I'd have my drone by now, and I was going to go ahead and get my stuff early. Oh, well, surely you can send them right back in as long as it's been within 30 days of purchase and they've been unwrapped. And I was like, you're kidding me, man. I've had them for like 45 days because I had belief in you that you were going to send me my drone between the end of November and 1st of December. But you didn't deliver. So I'm stuck with this stuff I can't do anything with, which led to the email chain as it's gone on. And then she's like, well, I don't understand. Do you want a return product? Or because I can see you have a pending order or an incomplete order here. We just haven't gotten to your drone yet. And I was like, well, I want everything, man. I'm trying to get you to understand to stop sending replacement drones to idiots that don't know how to fly, instead of finishing and completing the orders that people that researched the drone, like we did when we had Kyle on, and Kyle was very adamant about how the controller was not all the way there yet. It was going to need at least 3 or 4 more firmware updates to get it to where it worked properly. And I'm seeing videos put out by people who are saying the controller is not working really good. It's all over the place. And I'm like, okay, we did the research and we understood. And we also understood that, didn't Kyle say that the cameras record data, but not necessarily video? And that's what chews up so much on the video cards. On the SD cards. Wasn't he saying something like that? That the obstacle avoidance cameras recorded data? Kind of like a 3D
about that.
Yeah, he said something like that.
Yeah, so they do actually record something. Oh, see, yeah, here we go. Look right here. Yeah, yesterday. He got his Skydio yesterday. So one of my friends in Virginia that's, was talking about me coming home and everything. So he's like, well, I think Skydio is a scam. I was like, no, some of my friends have gotten them and everything. So something else I wanted to say was thank you very much to AZ Drone Dude. Let me do this really quick. I think it's over here.
Jay Santiago got to fly the Skydio the day after Christmas.
Yeah, here we go. Let me get this going. Then I'm going to come back over here. And I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to say... You know me, I'm all over the place when I'm on the show. He was the one that told me last week I was talking about wanting separate cases. And sure enough, he said, go check out F-Stop Labs on Amazon. And for $14.99, I got not only the hard shell Mavic Mini case, but I also got the hard shell Mavic Mini controller case. So that will fit in my gear to go on the plane to go to Virginia. And since I normally just bounce all over the place with subjects, I'll just jump right back into Skydio again and go, I have no clue, because I begged her. I was like, so basically, will I get my finish order by like February 1st and have my drone by like Valentine's? And then I read the video, I read the email as you all heard it just now. It was like ridiculous. So
I mean, I like that one comment that 3X Jones said. Did you see that?
what was it? Where? Up here? Oh, dear Bill, BS. Thank you for your patience. No. It's like, dear Bill, BS. Thank you for your cash. Would you like to send more?
Yeah, but I'd like to say to Al Diaz, I am looking at the Evo 2, the 6K version, and as soon as that becomes available for pre-order, I'll probably be putting that down. Which I want to ask the chat. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that they're going to sell like hotcakes? And like, do you think we're going to have a waiting list like we have like the Skydio right now?
I think the Pro model is going to be the one everybody's going to want, because I've heard the 8K is soft. I've heard the 8K is soft.
Well, some people want soft.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
You can always sharpen it. Sharpening is easy in post. Okay, but what you can't do is unsharpen. Unsharpening doesn't look very good.
Yeah. And hello, Johnny Drone Flyer. Glad to have you in the house.
I don't think the waiting.
Go ahead. Sorry, John.
I don't think the waiting list for the new Evo should be too bad if Autel has learned anything from all their years of making drones. You know, it's not their first day at the rodeo. Not that this was the first time that Skydio had made a drone, but this is definitely their biggest production ever. So obviously they have growing pains from it.
I don't think the Mavic 3 is going to be better. And Al Diaz, did you pre-order with DroneWorks? I think it's the only place, isn't it? Or can you pre-order elsewhere?
There's a link to one of Autel's websites where you can pre-order the 8K right now. The 6K and the dual are grayed out on that, so you can't do it yet. But yeah, DroneWorks is letting you pre-order all three of them.
Well, I do know, I think it's going to be Best Buy is going to carry it. Of course, their usual distributors. And B&H Camera, my new favorite friend, is going to carry it. So there is a potential that I may, but I'm probably going to wait before I jump on it. I'll probably wait at least 6-8 months before I jump on it. But I can see me possibly, jumping on it somewhere down the road. But I really need to see if my sons get into playing with drones and if I'm going to get serious about playing with drones at all, and God forbid what we're going to do about the hobby. And if it's going to be worthwhile for me to blow $1,700 on a drone, I might only have to fly 2 more years. That was not what I was expecting when I got into this hobby. I was figuring, my wife, because, my wife is like, her thing is I love my Coach bags and I love my, my Michael Kors bags, and they're fantastic, because that's my my retort. I'm like, I can go out and fly all my drones. How many of those other pocketbooks that you collect do you actually use? So then she kind of backs off. But the whole point is now she's like, well, what are you going to do when they tell you can't fly anymore?
I still don't think there's anything to worry about.
What do you mean? How do you think there's nothing to worry about?
There's no way they're going to shut everybody out. No way.
What if they're going to flip a switch? Let me get this off of here. They're going to start. Thank you again, AZ Drone Dude, for hooking me up. That was great. But how do you think that no, that's okay. You can come back and watch the replay. And it was great that I hope you won the basketball game, or I hope who you're pulling for won the basketball game. We're not like that. The recordings are always there. We try to get out as much information as possible, and we're all thinking about getting green screens too. And yes, as usual, it's 6:30 plus, and my phone is ringing off the hook. John, how you doing? You okay, John?
Good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, Bill, for at very least for you, probably what would happen is you would just, the worst case scenario, say that proposal went through, you would probably be able to fly drones like the Evo and all these GPS birds and whatnot, because, I mean, it's a possibility that they won't be retrofitted with remote ID, but it's really the self-builders that are getting screwed the most with that new legislation. They're not gonna, they're allowing people to fly. They're just not being good to the self-builders. That's the problem. I mean, you'll be able to fly. You just have to have a subscription to the remote USS. You will have to, do all this stuff, but you'll be able to fly. It'll just be burdensome.
So I got a prediction about what's going to happen.
Chris is talking about Kyle. Kyle sold all those drones.
So this is what I think what you're going to see happen, because there's enough outcry, and be honest with you, what is proposed is currently illegal to do. They can't do surveillance, digital surveillance like that. That's just, it's illegal. So what I think you're going to see, the only drones that are going to have that tier 1 option are going to be the really expensive ones that are coming out later, like probably like a Mavic 4 or the the Inspire line, or any transport drone that flies beyond line of sight. Those are the drones that really need the remote ID, not the line of sight GPS camera drones or the FPV drones.
But okay, so DeMarco's saying he thinks that the 8K is going to sell better than the 6K, but you don't think it'll sell good as the Mavic 2. I honestly I think everybody's going to hit that. I think everybody's going to go Pro, man, because the Pro is. I mean, for $1,800, you're getting an unbelievable bird. But was it? I think it was on Bill's show last night, wasn't it? It's not true 6K. It's 5.27.
Right.
What was it?
Just like
with something, yeah.
There's a guy that did a video about the Sony sensor that they're using in that camera to achieve the 8K. It's not a true 8K. It's basically a double sampled 4K. Is what it is. Something with the Sony sensor has got like the double the pixel readout or something, and effectively that's how they can technically say it's 8K.
Well, the majority of people buying this 8K drone are going to get it, and maybe they'll try the 8K once or twice, and then they're going to film in 4K. So, for the majority of people, the 8K won't mean a difference. Maybe the top 10% of drone reviewers or something, or cinematographers may play with it. But most people, my computer can't do it. I don't know what to do with this 8K. I'm just shooting a 4K. So it's basically, it's a selling point. It's something to, stick on the box, to stick in the marketing. But I don't think the large majority of the customers that buy the 8K Evo 2 are actually going to shoot and process and do something with 8K video most of the time. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I actually personally, really 4K still looks really great if you have good quality 4K. And that is a big difference. There's a lot of cameras that do really poor 4K, like, the Unique Breeze, that little white drone behind me, it does 4K, but it's only at 40 megabits and it doesn't look anything like a Mavic 2. Right. Also, in like the Mavic 2, when you go from that full field of view to HQ mode, which they're both 4K,
right?
But when you go to that full field of view, it doesn't look as good because it's not sampling every pixel; it's line skipping. And then when you go to the HQ mode, it crops down on the sensor and it does full pixel readout, and that's why it looks so much better.
And most people don't take advantage of those two different, I don't know what you would call them, filming things. The cropped in one and the other one. I mean, both of them have their places, but I think most people don't even change that around on the Mavic 2 Pro, like Ethan just explained. And I want to segue back into something you guys were talking about just a couple minutes ago about not being on the fly in, we'll say 3 years or 3 years and counting. I'm kind of in the ballpark with kind of Ethan and John. I think, okay, in 3 years from now, when say most of these laws get put in place, you still could just walk in Best Buy, buy the latest and greatest Mavic 4 or whatever. It'll have all the bells and whistles you need by the law. You'll have to pay money for this thing so they can monitor you and whatever. I mean, it's going to cost you a lot more money to fly in 3 years than it is now. But I mean, if you have the money, you'll still be flying in 3 years because you'll just go buy the latest and greatest drone at that point, and it'll be ready to go. So
yeah, you'll
good. Believe me, I don't want that scenario to happen at all. I want to see them totally rethink the current proposal and make it more friendly to all hobbies, especially including the FPV and the builders or whatever. But again, worst case scenario, you'll still be flying in 3 years. It's just going to cost you a lot more money to do it.
Yeah, it's going to cost you a lot more money, and you will be under a lot. You'll have the spotlight on you a lot more, talking about having an app on your damn phone that all the public can watch where you're flying and all that stuff. I mean, it's not going to be like we have today, and you'll be paying X amount of dollars for that service. That they say it's only going to. They estimate it'll only cost like $30 a year, $30 to $50 a year, but. Who knows?
Yeah,
who really knows?
They're really good. I mean, the only good thing on that whole thing, John, your privacy would be invaded. I think just from a privacy sense, they're breaking some kind of law, and somebody will be.
Yeah, it's digital surveillance is what it is. Anytime somebody's monitoring your GPS track, which is what they'd be doing, that is illegal.
Yeah, but you know what though, Ethan? I really think that they're just going to say it's going to be like driving. Flying is going to be a privilege. It's not going to be a right. So I don't know if that angle will work. That is something that the FPV Freedom Coalition is examining. Is there a violation of privacy here? But is it going to be a thing where, if, like I said, if flying is a privilege, not a right to fly, there's going to be certain things you have to give up. Just like there's certain things we give up when driving. Not saying it's right or wrong, but that's the way they're trying to go with this.
The point I was going with, the only good thing about this that everybody can see in the air. Say, your neighbor calls and says, "Oh, Ron Brown's flying over my house. You got to get down here and arrest him." The police can also look at the same app on their phone and go, "No, he's not. He's over a field 200 yards away from your house. He's not over your house. I'm not coming out there and bothering him."
So this is
helping that way.
So this is what I think. I think it's going to fall along the same lines as driving, right? So every car has a license plate, right? The average person just can't go online and look up that license plate because road rage, whatnot. So you don't have people going to other people's property and like beating them up and stuff.
Yeah,
that's a privacy thing,
right?
This is what I think. The same thing is going to happen with drones. Is that they're going to the only way I see that's feasible and makes the most sense is go to a broadcast system. All the DJI drones already have it built into them, where you broadcast the registration number. The drone, the drone broadcasts that radio signal out. And they have apps like a police officer or somebody in government will have a device that can read that or tie it into the LANT system somehow. So they know where the drone's at. They know the altitude and all that. If there's a problem, somebody reports it in that area, they can see the registration number, look it up and see who that's tied to, and then call them. And then they'd be able to track your phone. So that'd be the easiest, most way to do it. I mean, I think the LANT system works great. I don't know why they wouldn't tie it in. It's already existing and it works.
Well, Ethan, DJI and many others were telling the FAA that is how it should be done through a broadcast system. And then that would open up even us FPV guys having some sort of broadcast from our radios. Even the creator of TBS, what's his face now? Trappy. He was saying, if you have Crossfire, there are ways that we'll probably be able to retrofit it for some sort of, remote ID to pass that over that signal. But here's the thing. The FAA went and they ignored all of that. They ignored all of the suggestions from the industry to do that. So when I hear someone say, like, I don't think it's going to happen, I don't really know. It's scary because they've already been told this is what would work. And then they come out with something that absolutely nobody wants.
Yeah,
right.
This proposal was written by some kind of lobbyist and not really somebody from the FFA. This was basically thrown down their throats by some politicians' lobbyists. So they open the skies up for the supposed commercial uses of whatever.
I think it's a very real threat that this proposal will be enacted exactly as is. Now, does that mean that we should all run around like chickens with our heads cut off and stop flying? No, but 3X drones raises a good point. Everyone's money situation is different too. And if I were to drop 2K on a drone right now, and then in 3 or 4 years, for some reason, I couldn't fly it, I tell you, I don't buy a lot of electronic devices myself. I keep my stuff for a long time. I'd be pretty pissed. I'd be pretty upset. So it's going to be something that people are going to have to evaluate from situation to situation. It's certainly a very real issue, and it's going to affect the market. It already is. It's pretty sad.
When I saw the Mavic Mini unfolded, this is what it reminded me of.
What you got there, Bill?
The Mini.
The first Mini.
Yeah. This is what it reminded me of. Was the Mini.
Dude, I remember the first time I flew that when I visited Ryan's house, man, and you were telling me about that Twitch thing that it does, and I didn't understand it. And the second I got on those sticks and it happened, I was like, "Oh my god, that's the thing that Bill tells me it does."
I wanted to make a real quick point about the remote ID stuff. So if you look at how it was designed, what they're proposing, it's almost exclusively for transport automated beyond line of sight drones. That's the only thing you'd need data collection for. That's the only thing you'd need to have that kind of tracking for. Things that are autonomous, automated. So like if it didn't have a GPS signal, it wouldn't take off. That makes sense for an automated beyond line of sight transport system.
Sure,
for a drone that has a pilot at the controls visually looking at it line of sight, you don't need any of that stuff.
Right, but that's not what the proposal says.
Right. They've totally like not even thought about that. So that's why I don't think it's anything work, because it's ludicrous is what it is. It makes no sense.
It just makes you wonder, why did they bother? Why did they bother to do this at all? Why are they creating this huge ruckus? Are they just testing to see if people will say, I don't care, this is not going to happen, or are they just testing to see the outcry?
I actually think they was designed by somebody else, like you guys said, some non-FAA person, and they were told, put it up. This is what we're proposing. So, and they're going and then they're basically taking everybody's input and probably going back to those lawmakers and saying, hey, this isn't going to work.
It's pretty scary, because I've heard from a number. I've seen it, just like I said, this is just sort of like a number of hearsay in the comments and whatnot from people who deal with the FAA and are familiar with these NPRMs, and a lot of them even said, this, guys, don't expect this to change much. We've been dealing with the FAA for a long time, and when they put out an NPRM, usually it is what it is. There might be some small change here or there, but they said it could look grim. This is a different situation, but you never know. You talk about the airline industry would love to deregulate things, right? With the FAA just
this is total different technology.
Yeah, John, something you said in the last couple of weeks has kind of got this thought in my head that's got me really tickled. Is you were talking about how people were going to be taking down drones, and I was thinking about how many of those drones in the inner cities were actually going to make it to their final destination, and then I kind of realized that we might have some unique YouTube live streams going on, and immediately, welcome to the inner city games. We are hunting Amazon and Pizza Hut drones today, and if you're lucky, you might find a FedEx drone at 4,000 feet. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, I just don't foresee the. I could be totally wrong, but I just don't. I foresee like the whole transport package drones, that being a huge safety risk.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh no, I agree with you on that 100%. That this whole drone delivery thing is a pipe dream. I really don't think that it'll be useful in very specific situations, but overall, trying to clear the skies to do this is just ridiculous. But that doesn't stop them from wanting to do it, so they can go to investors and say, "Oh, look what we've done. We've managed to clear this for us. So yeah, we've got the dedication now, and we're getting these guys out of the skies. So we're ready. We're ready. Give us money now." And there's another number of dumb investors out there that'll do it.
Did you see that Hank was saying turn it into a hunting game? Anybody remember that old video game called Duck Hunt?
Yep.
This will be called Drone Hunt.
Oh yeah, it's like you think you have a problem with a package that's stolen off of doorsteps now.
And the dog will run out and come back with a Phantom 4 in its teeth.
And
Yeah, I mean, like it might have some exclusive uses, like say if there's a pharmacy nearby to deliver, some meds real quick. But even then, I just don't know if it's worth the risk. I just don't know if it would be worth it for the risk to the company.
I think it's great for campuses. Like if you have a large campus, like that you need to get something across to hospitals, large hospital campuses, where they need to fly like labs and stuff over. I think that's great. But like flying across the city for something,
yeah, absolutely. Like we've got the University of Columbia, Missouri up here, and that's huge.
I was thinking the inner cities again. And a lot of our inner cities, especially out here on the West Coast, have a huge homeless problem. And I can see people making homemade slingshots and just going, wow, and then taking stuff down that way. And the bad thing about that is what happens when those people miss and their stray projectiles go flying out, because most of the encampments are right next to the major freeways.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that. Anybody who hasn't seen what's going on in the Seattle area should get on YouTube and watch some documentaries. It's really eye-opening what's actually going on. It's just unbelievable, actually. And
so
that's a whole other story.
On a lighter note, guys, Baby Yoda flew today.
Oh, very cool.
And he's missing an ear now.
Oh.
And of course, the Insta360 that I had filmed the thing, it crashed. And it froze right when I took off, so I didn't get the footage. But I did get the goggle footage of him flying. You can't see him until he flies off. So let me share that real quick. It's pretty funny, and plus you get to see how with the DVR on the DJI goggles looks.
But you really, I don't know. Okay. So it froze on takeoff. After the firmware update?
No, before. This is before I updated it.
Oh, okay. So, hopefully it doesn't do that again, because you're making me lose faith. I was like, Jesus, don't tell me that after the firmware update it froze. No. But anyway, that's cool.
Can you see my
something I wanted to throw out there, since it's kind of rolling into the 7:00 hour. I don't care if we keep rolling or not, but I wanted to throw it out there that next week we won't have a drone therapy on Wednesday, because I'm going to be on a plane coming back from Virginia then. And so we're going to do something on Saturday and then go back on a regular schedule the following Wednesday. Ethan might not be with us and John might not be with us, because I think they have previous engagements. But Ron is going to jump in with us, and I think Curtis, Dart, Tommy, and if I still haven't heard from Scotty O by then, I'm going to try to get Fire Chief Mike on, the Mr. Batch 2 man, who managed to get his Scotty O before others. I'm really hoping he's just fudging with us, and he didn't really get the batch. He was in batch 1 like everybody else. So, but anyway, Drone Pool Dan, good to see you in the house. Mikey B, glad to see you in the house. Still seeing, Courtney and Frank in the house, and they're playing their little games here. I'm okay. Goose, talk to me, Goose. Goose, no, look out. Okay, you lost me. Anyway, back to your all's regularly scheduled program, and I'm sorry for my interjection.
Can you see my screen?
Coming up.
Share that screen. Oh. There we go.
All right, so we're flying along, but Baby Yoda's on the back, but unfortunately we can't see him because the Insta360 wasn't working here.
Okay, the force is with you.
I see a prop.
Yeah, so the GoPro doesn't get the props in there because it's higher, but the FPV camera does. So we're going up, and I'm gonna.
Ooh, look at that.
Nice.
This is where things get sketchy. There he goes.
Oh.
Let me back it up.
That's cool though.
There he is.
Oh.
So you can see him right there.
Help me!
Oh, he lost his ear right away.
Yeah.
Prop must have took his ear then.
Yeah. He ate it.
That happens.
I thought it was actually I had to use this footage to find him because he went flying. So
You mean you didn't hear the little voice out in the grass?
no,
So how long did it take to find him?
like 2 seconds. I mean,
okay.
I looked around for a good 5 minutes before I put the goggles on and like reviewed it. And then once I reviewed it, I knew right where he was. So
You know what? Yeah, you know what it was. There was a female Yoda under the other tree.
right. I thought that was funny, but hopefully tomorrow morning, because I'm actually printing out a new one. Hopefully
That's
tomorrow
funny.
morning.
Yeah, he jumped ship. Ronnie B saying he jumped to end it all.
Right. I thought it was pretty funny though.
Yeah, really. This ain't the Mandalorian. I'm out of here.
I was like, what? Because I saw it in the goggles, saw him flying in the goggles. I was like, oh no, I lost him.
No, it was the FAA proposal. It was just too much. He had to go.
Right. And he says, I'm not.
No, he's on his way. At least his ear's on the way to Washington.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was cool.
He'll be our.
That was nice.
So you all really and truthfully think that it's okay? I think they're going to push us out of the skies before they realize how stupid a move it was.
Well,
That's what I'm expecting, man. I expect them they'll have us out of the skies and it'll be like clean, and they'll be busting people right and left for flying. Okay,
Enjoy it while you know you still can.
The police are not going
about
to waste their time.
8 months later, when they're getting ready to start putting those drones in the air, you're going to realize, wait a minute, we really can't do this.
Yeah, the police is not going to waste their time with that.
Yeah, true. I don't see how they're going to have the extra manpower to do.
In most metropolitan areas, the police don't even have enough people to send out for a robbery or whatever, let alone somebody saw a drone flying.
Yeah. I mean, funny you bring that up, Ron. So like my local town, we don't have recycling pickup mandated for every single house. If you want that, you have to pay extra for it. Well, we have these 2 bins in town where people dump their stuff. We're supposed to recycle. Well, they're a mess. They're an absolute freaking mess. And we talked about, people should be cited. They're like, we don't have time to sit and watch these bins all day and write citations. We got other things to do. Police force so small. They don't even have time. They don't have time to do shit like that. So talking about a drone.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right to break the law, but people speed every day, and that's way more of a safety risk than this stuff.
Yeah. Thing is, I just want to stop if we can. I want to stop what we're doing from becoming illegal, because even if all that were to pass, it would drastically affect the whole market as a whole. I mean, I had a comment on my video the other day, and it kind of irked me because someone said, tell me how. They were like, okay, I've been collecting drones. It was a good comment. I've been collecting drones for about 5 years. Many that have no app at all and do not transmit any data. I fly 5.8 gig AO cameras, no internet connection at all. Would someone please tell me how they're going to stop my drones from flying? Reality is they're not. And I told them, I said, you missed the point. I said, no one is saying that they're going to be able to physically stop you from flying those. The problem is that if you choose to fly that, you will now be considered on the other side of the law. You will now be an outlaw. And we just want to stop that from happening. If it is at all possible, we want to stop that from happening.
Because we think that it's just going to open up an easier excuse for them to squash us out of the sky.
Well, I mean, it reminds me of, say, like, Bill, your comment where, like, they're going to pass it, kick everybody out, then realize that the transport thing isn't going to work like they think it is, and then they'll have to slowly let everybody back in. It reminds me of, like, what they did with the Lance system, where they had it for 107 people first, and then they basically said hobbyists can't call the tower, and this was before Lance was ready for hobbyists. And that was, what was that, like 4 months or something like that?
Yeah.
I think back to myself, how many people flew anyway during that time?
Yeah, and that's another interesting point, right? They talk about how safety and it's a national security crisis and all that stuff. How many people never called the tower? How many people are flying every day and nothing ever happens. It's
Right.
what is the actual risk that
Right.
all this needs to be done? That's another thing too. It really begs the question. But yeah, it's true.
Y'all
Physically,
remember-
that person will be able to fly. Nothing can stop him, but it just won't be legal anymore. And that, really, really good example, I think. If FPV and building was an underground thing, okay, would we maybe have this DJI FPV system? I don't know if we would. I don't know if companies would be willing to put forward the R&D to cater to something that, if you really want to do it, you've got to do it illegally. I mean, it's just a thought.
Well, but you know how society's been programmed now, man. It's a new century. Like the old century, it was like, it's a bird, it's a plane. But now in the 20th century, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a drone.
I know everything's a drone, including those drones in Colorado, apparently. But yeah,
from the proposal mentions the word safety, like I forget how many hundred times, and we all know that there's only a few cases of a drone ever doing something proved to be doing something unsafe. And just this week, and I don't want to get political, there was an event in Virginia, and I won't even bring up what the event was, but the governor banned a lot of stuff right around the Capitol. And the second paragraph, he banned all drone flight in this area, whatever. And I'm thinking, wait, how do drones make the second paragraph in the governor's thing? I mean, like, how many people were going to fly drones there in the first place? And well, he said no. He said weaponized drones. He said there may be weaponized drones or whatever. But when is the last case on record of a non-military weaponized drone being used any place? I mean, they're doing, they're throwing drones under the bus for safety thing for like science fiction. There's no consumer weaponized drones. There's never been one found.
Ron, Ron, I completely agree with you, and I saw that, and it's not. I don't think it's political to mention the event. It's that rally in Virginia around the Capitol. The FAA engaged a temporary flight restriction over that area, a pretty huge area. If you guys went and go actually look it up, it's a pretty huge circle, okay, because of the potential threat of weaponized drones. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, come on, no one's going to do that. That's just demonization, okay?
Well,
that's what that is. It's demonization.
To be perfectly honest with you, the kinds of drones that would be built to do that purpose, they ain't got nothing that would keep them out of the air anyway.
Exactly. We know that. Like, imagine putting a gun on a Phantom or something like that. It's just not going to happen. It's just, come on.
It's too much work and effort, and I'm like,
But anyway, that's the fear factory the government puts on now, right? I mean,
we love drones. Drones are good. So, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I just think they should stick with incorporating the LANT system into it. It's already there. It works great, and everybody can use it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
they want to get rid of that now. They want to get rid of that.
That makes no sense to me, because this is the thing. If you have regulations and you want people to follow them, you got to make it easy for people to follow them.
Right,
if you make it so it's not easy, or makes it expensive, or make it impossible to follow, everybody's going to be breaking the law.
Yep.
But
plain and simple.
The person who wrote that proposal, that the problem is they don't know anything about drones or whatever. It was a lot of some big corporations. They don't know. They don't care. They don't care what makes sense.
It was strictly written for transport, like line of sight, automated stuff. That's what it was written for.
Right.
So here's what I'm wondering: can't we put those drones on some kind of a different frequency? Let's put them between 400 and 500 feet. Let's kind of have some kind of warning beacon when they come down through our airspace, and then they just leave us the hell alone.
Well, even if we see one, your regular camera pilot's going to see it and know how to avoid it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's this. Listen. This them or us scenario has been created by them. It does not need to be that way. It really doesn't. Let's see. Might be the drone ranger is saying the government could take every single drone away from one of us, and it would not stop a terrorist from making a weaponized drone using it. That is another good point too. A lot of these worries, it's kind of, some of it's ridiculous, because at the end of the day, someone who's going to do something bad with a drone, who's determined to do it, is going to do it. So unless your end goal is to literally chokehold the parts supply of quads, I don't really know how you're going to prevent people from doing nefarious things with a drone.
Yeah, I was always curious about, like, say they do put this into effect, how they're going to stop people from building FPV drones. I mean, technically, a VTX is technically illegal to use above a certain milliwatt, but people do it every day. People do it every day.
Yeah,
I mean, you can go on Amazon and buy a Wolf Whoop VTX that'll put out 1,200 milliwatts for like $10.
Yep, and I will say though that some vendors have gotten fined. Get FPV was fined big time, a lot of money for selling video transmitters that went above 1 watt. So people have been fined for it. Businesses have been fined. But
they're
yeah,
not
you're
coming
right.
after the consumer.
Huh?
They're not coming after the individual.
No, they're not coming after the individual. I mean, at the end of the day, with the bands that we operate on, even if you go above 1 watt, you're probably not really stomping on anybody, especially on the frequencies that we use. It sounds like a lot, 800 milliwatts of 1 watt. At the end of the day, it's not that much. So I think the reason that we even get away with that, per se, for those who do, I actually don't. I don't use above. I don't have any video transmitters that go above 1 watt. But either way,
actually, I don't really ever go above 800. Technically, I don't really find that I need it for what I do.
I really only fly at like 600. Honestly, I'd rather it not bake.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not trying to cook eggs or whatever on my video transmitter. So. Yeah, it's a mess. I think that we just have to watch it. I don't think we should just think it'll never happen. But to each their own.
Well, did you on the FFA website where you leave your comments that somebody said there's not one comment up yet that supports the this new proposal, that they've got 100% not supporting it or whatever? Do you think that'll have any impact at all? That all the comments are unsupportive?
Ron, I'll tell you what, I'm kind of surprised. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
it's supposed to. That's why they have a comment period.
I want to say good night to Frank and Courtney, Mermaid Clover, and Spider Hank. They've gone to play Find the Starfish. So great to have you all here. Glad to have you in. Thank you. Go have fun. But yeah, I don't know what to think.
I was going to say, I tell you what, I'm surprised that there aren't any comments for it in there, because I was expecting there to be some by now. In fact, I was expecting there to be plants per se to write comments saying, I greatly support this. These things actually happen. People are paid to go out and write that they support things on the internet. These things happen. So I'm surprised that there aren't comments like that already on there.
Remote Pilot 101, I think he's put up a positive comment, hasn't he? Jay is loving that thing.
They also may be using this as like a feeler gauge to see how many drone pilots are really out there, like flying, that this is going to affect.
They could be. Yeah, they could be. We just don't know. We just don't know. But it looks bad. It looks really, really bad that they ignored all the sensible suggestions about how to go about this. Pretty much completely ignored it. DJI has said it. They're asking for comments on this, and
it seems like the only reason they're asking for comments is because by law they have to. And it's just like on March 1st, somebody's just gonna go delete.
The trouble is we'll know whether this comment period really was just all BS or not. But the problem is it'll be too late by the time that we know. That's what'll suck. It'll be too late. We'll know that all these comments and everything was for nothing. But I just want to say, I just want to be able to say, well, hey, I tried. When there was an opportunity, I tried. I did something. I tried something.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
no regrets.
Everybody definitely leave a comment. That's for sure. Everybody get out there and leave something.
Yeah, exactly. And the closer it gets to March, if you haven't said anything, at that point, I don't care if it's a negative comment. Just hit them with it.
Right.
you know?
Guys, if anybody needs an outline, I definitely suggest going to a Drone Use website, and they have some outlines available and some really good suggestions. Just make sure you're putting it in your own words instead of copy and pasting. And really important, everybody takes the time to do this. It doesn't really take that long. Just tell them how you personally feel without using profanity.
Well, see, the thing about it is I've started realizing that a lot of us have tried to tell everyone how they should comment, when really and truthfully we need people to comment. I don't care. The thing about it is at the end of the day, they're going to have to count how many people actually commented, whether it's a positive or a negative comment, and whether they deleted it or not because it had profanity in it. They'll still have to acknowledge that someone gave a negative response.
True.
So, and I'm just more concerned about, we've told too many people, you need to word it this way. You need to be polite. And then there's a lot of people out there that can only express themselves in this day and age through expletives. And that might be the only way that they can get through. And the thing about it is even if they delete your comment, at least, like John said, you made an effort.
Right.
You commented. And you can take, it's just like wearing a little I voted patch. This is I droned, or I am a droner or something like that,
Yeah. At the same time, though, it's really not hard to not use bad words. So if someone can do that, please try, because at the end of the day, they will use things like that to just discount your comment. If you're running out of time too, just copy a comment too. Like if it really gets down to that point that you just didn't do anything, you're better off just copying something. Just put something in. Just don't fly off the handle, because I think stuff like that I think they might. There's a few ways they could go about it. They could definitely try to use comments like that against us.
Well, here's the thing: if we're all as paranoid right now, if we think that they're going to take our skies away anyway, then they're going to come up with an excuse to delete every damn comment we make.
Sure.
So I'm just saying, I'm more worried at this point in time. Oh, sorry, guys. At this point in time, hang on. I'm sorry. I just jumped over here. We have a brief interjection here. Ron's wanting to tell everybody good night.
Yes, it's been a great show tonight. I really want to thank Ethan for doing that great presentation of Moneyshots. I mean, I learned a lot of stuff, and I'm sure everybody else did in chat. We had a great group in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't bring my laptop up tonight, so I didn't have a second screen to type in and leave comments. But we saw a lot of people out there. I want to congrat Jay Santiago for getting his Study of 2 drone in. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it, Jay. And I just want to. I know he's probably not listening. He can't listen right now, but I want to send special prayers out there for Rick. I hope he, I hope he's doing well. I hope he recovers soon from his heart attack or heart issue. And I just want to say good night to John, Ethan. I want to thank Bill for having me on. I hope Bill has a great vacation going back to his hometown, Virginia. And we will be doing a little show for you, but not this Saturday, but the next Saturday. Is that right, Bill?
Yes, sir. That's exactly right, sir.
And Bill will be
February 1st.
Bill will be in the same time zone as I am for that show. So that'll be
no. Actually, I will be back home on that Saturday, but on Wednesday next week, I'm going to be in the air. So, and like John said, I'll be lucky if I get like 2 megabits. So, and I'm not going to pay money for Wi-Fi that I'm not going to use.
Yeah, that'd be really expensive from the air.
So, good night, everyone, and I will see you next Saturday.
See you, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Ron.
Elvis has left the building.
So I'm curious, everybody in the chat, what drone that's coming out are you most excited to see?
Oh, Evo 2 for sure.
Well, I know Evo 2. I'm actually curious to see that V-copter. I'm actually curious to see how it does. I'm
curious to see how it bombs.
I can see the late flight, the late night excuse me, rented lips. The late night infomercial. It slices, it dices, it creates julienne fries. The V-copter.
And you know, when that video with it flying around with that net under it, when it stopped, how it like pitched way up like that. I was like, man, you could probably do a barrel roll with that thing.
Yeah.
Hey, I hope it works. I hope it works really well. If it's all it's cracked up to be, it'd be cool. I look at it and I just think, how?
Exactly. The gimbal is going to have to work overtime to produce anything reasonably stable.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to have a lot of travel.
You're going to have to like go like this.
You know what? It could be one of these things where it works great, and that's the way everything goes. It could be.
Yeah. It's a 50-50 split.
Yeah, but
like you said, when it pitched it almost flipped over.
Right.
I don't think that gimbal's going to get anything but straight up there.
Right.
This is a good one. So Drone Pool is saying that he's curious to see how long it takes Brian from over at True Drone Reviews to call it a turd. Because Brian has it on pre-order, just so you guys know.
Wait a minute. Look. You missed this. Look right here.
No, I didn't see. I saw that he's got the deposit on that V-copter. Yeah, I mean, I hope for everybody that it's good, like every drone. I don't know, man. I am so averse to anything that I see new anymore. And the reason why is I guess I've just seen so many botched releases, right? There's always just something wrong that people need to wait a while to be worked out whenever anything new comes out, and I'm just so averse to it.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of like new stuff that's pretty early release stuff, and it is super annoying to have them like rush stuff out, and the software, the firmware is just a complete mess.
Yeah, exactly. And you're better off buying it 6 months from now. But if you're in the YouTube game and all that, then yeah, you want to get your hands on it so you can be first to review it and all that stuff. I understand that, but just for the average consumer, man, the internet has made software developers and companies just say, screw it, release it, get it out there. We'll fix it later.
Right.
I mean, God, you remember when they made video games and they were all on cartridges, that stuff?
Right.
If you made a game, it better not have any bugs or problems, because that's it. There's no updates. That's it. That cartridge is it. That CD, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There is none of this. Oops, we just botched that Fallout 76 up. Better fix the whole thing. The whole thing's broken.
Right. What I find the most interesting about this, the Insta361R, is that so all these YouTubers reviewed it and they had all their videos ready to go 2 weeks ago at CES, but they weren't allowed to show the footage. Now that it's released, it's actually out and it's had its firmware update. No YouTuber has done a follow-up video showing the footage. I just find that very interesting. So a lot of these big YouTubers, they must be like, I'm going to review it once, then it's out the door, on to the next thing. They don't do a follow-up to like redo something. So I've actually gotten to a habit of like not even watch a lot of those videos anymore because they're all crap,
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, there's just some of them are just product factories. They get something and then they don't go back to it. Hey, you know what? To be fair, I'm guilty of that myself. I've gotten a lot of stuff that I took a look at it, used it in the moment, and then I never went back or did anything else with it again, even if I genuinely intended to. I mean, I can count a number of times I've said, "Oh, I've got this, and this, and I'll do a mod video in the future," and then 6 months later, and it never happened. So.
Yeah. I've actually decided that I wasn't going to take any more drone offers, just because. So the one drone offer that I did take, I just wasn't into it, because it wasn't it's like one of the snapped-in toy drones.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought it was great for that kind of person that's into those, but I'm not. And so the video I made for it was very it was very manufactured. I could even tell, and some of the people even commented on it, like, this doesn't seem like something you do. And I'm like, yeah, it's not. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore.
I think Ron forgot something here. I happened to look down. Hey, Ron. Oh, Ron. All right.
Yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, I was gonna say with respect to Snaptane, honestly, I don't think I'm gonna be doing any more stuff from them either, unless it's something something brushless. You know, I did a whole bunch of that little Snaptane stuff. And I tell you what, I was grateful that I did because they made some really great Christmas presents for some kids. I was able to give those away, so that was really good. And that's one thing that's nice about having little toys like that. You know, you can even decide to play Santa at random, so it's kind of nice to have those kinds of things. But
Right.
at the same point in time, it's like I am sick of crappy toys. I really am. I'm sick of crappy toys. Not that those were crap; those were good. But I end up having to do some reviews of toys that are just junk. I just hate it. So yeah. It's tough.
Yeah, the one Snapton drone that they sent me at the time the Tello was out, and I think the Snapton drone was like $75, and the Tello was like 99. And I had flown the Tello before, and the Tello was hands down like way better than the Snapton drone. And I was kind of like, because people were asking me in the comments, would you recommend this over the Tello? And I'm like, no. And and I'm thinking in the back of my head, I know Snapton's watching this, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like the Snapton SP700 that I've got a review. It's coming up, but I've even told them, I've said the price you have for it on Amazon is just way too much. I think they want something like $250 for it. It is basically an MJX Bugs 2W rebranded. You can get that for like 130, 150. So there's a certain point that the Amazon tax, I call it, for buying an item on Amazon versus buying it from like a Chinese vendor is just too high. It's just too high. So I'm gonna doing the review, but I don't think I could recommend people buying it because it's just too much money. It's just too much money.
Well, there's not really been any super toys around for a while anyway.
No, not really. If anything, some of the more brushless stuff has gotten a little better. Like I tell you what, that Eachine EX4, man, for like 170 or something. It's basically like a Mavic Air clone. For what it is, I'm pretty impressed with the footage that I see of it. I've got one on the way. It should be here by the end of January for me. So I'm gonna be checking that out.
Up and down rotation on the gimbal or not? I mean,
talk about the Eachine EX4.
Yeah, it just goes up and down.
No, it's a 3-axis gimbal. That's a 3-axis gimbal.
Really?
Yeah, with like 20 minutes of flight time, and it's got a little bag and all this other stuff. And they've been couponing the hell out of that thing. You get it for like 180 to 170.
What is it? What's the top frame rate?
So I'm not really sure what the frame rate is, but
cool thing. Well, it's already 7:23, so we've been on almost 2 hours. So I think it's about time we kind of wind it up. My wife's kind of come in and huffed and looked at me like, "You're still on?" So I was like, "Yeah, maybe I should get." And I looked down and I was like, "Holy cow, we've been on for a while now." So yes, and I wanted to say I'm going to throw it around to the guys here in a minute. And I'm going to thank everybody for being here and remind everyone that we won't be on next Wednesday. I will be on Saturday and then again Wednesday. But the Saturday on February 1st will be myself, Curtis Dart, Tommy Polo, maybe, I don't want to mess up Mike's last name, so I'll just say Chief Mike, and Ron Brown. And we, if Chief Mike's not real busy or if something works out, then, we'll have a Skydio night. If not, then maybe we'll talk Curtis into talking to us about copyrighted music and stuff like that. And of course, if something strange happens and John or Ethan's available, they know for sure that they're welcome to come in here. So I'm going to throw it around the room. And first off, I'll go to Mr. Ethan Mitchell.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We've had a blast chatting with everyone. And, just really want to emphasize the importance of trying to leave a comment if you can with the FAA. We still have plenty of time to do it, and just think about it and really try to get it done. And with that, I will throw it over to Mr. John Cuppi.
Thank you, Ethan. Well, it's been a great show. Ethan, the Moneyshots thing was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I definitely learned I definitely learned quite a bit from that. You know, I don't do a whole lot with cameras, so that was a really good presentation. I'm sure the whole chat did. The chat's been freaking awesome tonight, really engaging. A really quick word for Rick Halber. I hope you get better, man. It's really sad to hear that. So we're all hoping best for you. And with that said, good night, guys, and I will see you guys the next not this Saturday, but the next show.
Yeah, 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be back on regular schedule. Yeah. And thank you very much, Mel. Glad to have had you in the house. Glad to have had everybody here tonight. Thank you, Marcus, for telling everybody good night. Thank you, Frank, for telling us awesome show. As usual, grateful to have everybody here. Grateful to have my co-therapist here with me each and every week. If anyone's interested in being a guest, if anyone has a subject or anything, please reach out to any one of us. We enjoy talking to you as much as you enjoy watching us. We'd love to get more participants if possible so that I can stream from Disneyland. That would be so cool. But anyway, love everybody. And again, shout out to Rick Halber. Please feel better. He says he doesn't need any GoFundMe. It's a lot of good thoughts and friends saying get well. So get well, Rick. We'll see you next week. Peace.
See you guys.